June 22nd, 2012. You may remember I uploaded a video entitled A Long Angry Rant About My Personal Life. Enjoy. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the first time I ever dealt exclusively with my personal life in video form. Something was affecting me so deeply on a personal level that I decided to flip the camera on and share it with you, the audience. It was incredibly cathartic for me and made me feel a whole hell of a lot better about the situation that I was going through at the time. Some of you loved it, some of you could relate, some of you could sympathize, some of you absolutely hated it, some of you thought it was garbage, some of you thought I was just trying to suck cheap sympathy out of the situation from people. Either way, I enjoyed doing it. And lo and behold, part 2. Yes, this is an extension of all of that shit that went down last year. I never thought it would come back around. I never thought I would hear from either of these two again. And I never thought that the boyfriend in question could ever sink to any lower of a level of douchebaggery. And even sadder still, I had no idea that the girl in question could sink to such a low level. Now, if you haven't seen the video, there will be a link somewhere in here. I suggest that you watch at least a little bit of it. It's 13 minutes long. I don't expect you to watch all of it. But the brief synopsis I can give you is this. There was a girl that I stupidly fell for that was in a relationship with this guy that would just constantly treat her like shit. He would leave her at random intervals of time with other girls, come back the next day and act like nothing happened at all. He's playing with her emotions, just playing with her overall. And she would come to me on a pretty regular basis and we would talk about what was going on. And my advice was laced with pretty much the same common denominator. You need to get out of this. What good is coming out of this? This guy is using you. He's playing you. He is fucking with you and you need to run and run far away. I understand. It's the familiarity of the entire thing that keeps you coming back. But you have to understand, as distraught and stressed and emotional as you are over this, the only clear option is to leave. There was even a third party in the room when we were all talking that was agreeing basically directly with everything I was saying, that this guy was no good and she needed to leave or they needed to part ways. And it came to a point where she was getting more distressed and she wasn't listening to a damn thing I said. And I was tired of seeing this girl that I was very fond of continue to hurt herself. I couldn't watch anymore, so I stepped back. And he took exception with that, said I was trying to steal her girl and all this kind of stuff. But a declaration of feelings for somebody is not you trying to take them away. And I guess they both felt like I was trying to get with her. That's what happened. One of my best friends was defying everything I was saying to her, and I felt very deeply for her, and it cut me every single time she kept getting back with this controlling, excessive douchebag. I never thought I'd hear from either of them again. Until yesterday. You all know I made an alternate Facebook account after my main Facebook got taken down. I went in there, I logged on to see if I'd missed anything important, and I went into the other folder, and I look in there, and there's a message from her. But the account was blocked for some reason, and the message simply read, "I finally did it." Now, I knew pretty goddamn well what she was talking about. She finally left the guy, but I had to sort of clarify things. So I went to my Facebook, and I'm like, wait a minute. She's had me blocked for a year. So I'll try. Okay, I looked through my Facebook, and I tried to find her phone number so I could text her. Because she reached out to me, she messaged me first, she unblocked me to tell me she left the guy. So I wanted to know what was going on. So I texted her, and I didn't get anything. So I searched her on my Facebook, and I was unblocked. Kind of weird, especially the way that our friendship ended, that she just randomly had me unblocked. And she sent that message to my old Facebook on July 1st, and this was July 18th. So I messaged her basically saying, I'm assuming you're saying that you finally left him, and I'm very happy for you, yada, yada, yada. And she says that I was right about everything, which is fine, a nice boost to my ego, I assume, if I even have an ego to speak of. She said that I was a great guy, that I was a very good friend to her. She wishes that we never fought. And I said, well, you know, most of our fights happened because of him. Mostly because you wouldn't listen to me about him and he was obviously taking advantage of you. Any fucking fool could see it. And now that he's out of the picture, maybe we can try the friendship thing again. And she said, sure, I'd love that, but I gotta go to bed for work. And so did I, so we talked the next day. I got up at about 10 o'clock, got myself ready for work, and we were talking about all the things that we talked about in the past. We mostly meteorology. Now, she strikes me as a very casual meteorology kind of person, doesn't give a shit about the terminology or the science of it. She's one of those people that likes to get in her car and go, ooh, wow, which is fine, I guess. I'm very ecstatic when I come across anybody who's interested in weather as much as I am, or at least interested in meteorology at all beyond, oh, look at that cloud. So, whatever, we talked, and everything was fine. I was very genuinely glad, applauding on the inside, that she finally left this douchebag. And any of you that have actually seen that video in question, the one that I'm talking about, you know how excited that I was when I heard that she left him. And it's not because I wanted to just jump in and get with her. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't have a heat-seeking missile for girls who just got dumped and go, okay, now let's spruce up here and I can try and steal her away. Contrary to what they think, I'm not that kind of person. I was genuinely happy for her, and she messaged me first, so whatever. So I went to work, and she told me to download this messenger called Kik. Apparently it's a messenger you can use when you don't have minutes on your phone or whatever. I'm like, okay, I can download it, and work has Wi-Fi. So in between breaks and lulls in the action at work, I would text her, say, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. We would talk, and just random bromidic chit-chat back and forth, you know, that kind of thing. She told me she had a meeting to go to, and I was also very happy that she had a job, because last I talked to her, she was in some pretty big financial peril. And she said she had a good paying job, and she was at work, and that she would text me at about 3 o'clock. So, okay. Went back to work, looked at my phone at 3 o'clock, went on Facebook, and I'm blocked. Huh? Yeah, I'm blocked. After she told me that I was right about everything, that I was a great guy. And saying that I'm right about everything isn't it's not really that much of a boost to my ego, because anybody could have seen how much of a douche, how much of a pathetic, emaciated douche this kid is, okay? I mean, it was obvious. But after telling me all that stuff and saying that we could work on things, I was blocked. So I texted that same number I texted before when I was trying to find out what was going on, and she said, yeah, what are you talking about? We weren't saying anything at all on Facebook. What? And I'm like, yeah, we were talking for about an hour last night and about an hour today. What's going on? Oh, you're just trying to lie to me. You're always trying to get with me. You've lied to me in the past before. I'm like, wait, huh? You're always trying to get with me and you're lying to me. No, I have the messages right here. Do you want to see them? No, because I know the kind of guy you are, John. You try to lie to me, and you try to lie to Paul and lie about him and say he's such a bad guy to get with me. What is going on? I take pictures of all the screens of her messaging me. I took a screenshot of her Kik profile, which she denied she had. I don't have a Kik, something we were talking to back and forth during work for about an hour. And she's denying that any of this took place and said that I'm just lying. Which, if she knows anything about me, she knows that I am a brutally honest person. And I was brutally honest to the point where I told her that I had feelings for her. I was honest about everything that was going on at all times. And she told me many times that she basically admired me for my honesty, that I was a very honest person in a sea of lying dipshits, I guess, which she surrounded herself with. So I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Who the hell are you to say that I'm just trying to get with you when you used to rely on me to give you advice about a relationship you knew you weren't supposed to be in the first place? Whatever happened to all that? You're such a good advice giver. You're such a good advisor. You were right. What the fuck is going on here? I was really distraught about this, so I was talking to my friend, and I asked her to call the number because I had my doubts. I thought, okay, maybe this Paul douchebag saw that she's talking to me, and maybe he's on her Facebook, still has her password, and is messaging me and blocking me everywhere, that kind of stuff, and posing as this girl. So, we call, and the voicemail message is of a male voice. So, at that moment, I was pretty angry. I was very close to wanting to completely just I don't even know. I can't even describe what I was feeling. If he was in front of me, I would have knocked him out. And I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy. This guy is so skinny, if he turns sideways, he disappears. And my computer just... Yeah, he is so skinny, and he turns sideways, he disappears. He could hula hoop with a fucking Cheerio. A strong gust of wind would topple him. So it's not me trying to sound like a tough guy, but I was so angry. I thought, wow, this guy's been duping me this entire time. He took control of all of her fucking accounts, blocked me, trying to make me think that I'm a bad guy. And his very last message said, yeah, I just talked to her, John. She still hates you. Oh my god. I was just enraged. So, after finding out that he was lying, posing as Lindsay, I tried to get to the bottom of it some more to figure out what was really going on, and he said, no, she really does still hate you. I'm like, how am I supposed to believe you? You were lying and saying you were her this entire time. And he says, well, do you want to hear it straight from her? I was starting to write a message, and then I get a phone call. And it's her voice. That was all I needed to confirm it. And I told her before she could even tell me, true to form, I could always see what she was doing. Well, I can't say I was seeing what she was doing in advance here, but once I heard her voice, I knew exactly what was going on. That video that I uploaded, they didn't like very much. Even though I didn't mention their names once, nobody knew who the hell they were. Even if I did mention their names, nobody would know who they were because they were blocked on every form of social media that I have. They took exception to it, even though I was doing nothing but telling the truth. A year later, ladies and gentlemen, over a year later, a year and a month later, almost to the day a year and a month later, they decide to play some game with me and make me think that she's left this guy, telling me that I was right and he's a douchebag. How much more puerile does it get? How much more immature does it get? These guys are in their 20s. And a year later they go, hey, let's message John. You know what? You're going to say that you left me. And then you're going to say that he was right the entire time. And you're going to try to be his friend because you know how much he liked you. And that's the even... Oh my god, that's the worst part. They know how much I felt for her. They both know that everything I did was to be her friend. And everything I did, every piece of advice I gave her, even though I had feelings for her, I knew she was taken by this guy. I never asked her out. I never tried to get with her or tried to have sex with her or anything like that. Never. Because I knew no matter how much of a douchebag this guy was, they were still together. But they knew that I had feelings for her at one point, and that I would be shocked and maybe even ecstatic to see a message from her. My only thought was trying to have a friendship with her again. And they didn't get a whole lot of good material out of me because the majority of the messages I was sending, I did not once say, let's hang out, let's go somewhere, let's do something, let me come pick you up and do something. We were just talking like we were when we were friends before. And that's something else I don't get. She calls me and tells me this is just one big fucking game. What did they get out of it? What did they accomplish? I bet right now they're still laughing about it, yucking it up. Oh, my anger. That's right. You got me pissed off and angry. I took a route with that video that made me feel a hell of a lot better about a situation I felt was hopeless. I was trying to be a good friend to somebody and they just didn't care. And I felt bad about it. And I made a video because what I do is making videos and they make me feel better about myself when I'm not in a terrible mood. So I figured since I am in a very terrible mood, I may as well see what happens, and it made me feel a hell of a lot better. But they took so much exception with it that they had to try and play this game. But what I still don't understand is when she first messaged me on my alternate account on July 1st, I hadn't seen it until the 18th. And I was already blocked after she sent the message. I finally did it. There's still something here that I'm not seeing. And at this point, I'm so distraught that I don't know if I want to try to find anything else. Yeah. If you two are watching this video, I'm distraught. It hurts because I wouldn't have minded being her friend again. because I know that all the fights we had were because of you, Paul. I know that most of the, in fact, if not all of the fights that we had from when we first knew each other in 2011 until now had to do with you in some form or fashion. I never knew it was a crime to be upset that somebody is willfully taking another guy's shit under the guise of love. The very last text message I received. We've been through so much worse. We work through and get over everything. Even you know that much is true. I think what I believe to be true, Polly, is that you manipulate and control her into thinking that you're reformed and changed. I think that much is true. I think I know how much of a sorry excuse of a pathetic human being you are. I think I know how much of a coward you are. I think I know how much of a child you are to be complicit in something like this in a game. A year later, over a year later, you decide to play on my fucking emotions and get me to be really excited that an old friend is back in my life and then pull one on me like that. I think I know exactly who the brains of the operation were, but it's very sad to know that she was complicit in it at all. There's so many personal jabs at this point that I could throw out there. I know for a fact these two won't last, but at least I know now that I can't have any fantasies in my head of when this guy finally reveals himself to be what he is, of her coming to me and saying, "Oh, you were right," because I know it ain't happening now. The best revenge, and I consider anything I could do revenge, and I suppose I should explain that. They thought what they did to me was revenge because I made a video expressing my feelings, never once mentioning their names, never giving any personal details about them at all. But what they did to me is a hell of a lot worse because they played on my emotions and they played on the happiness that I felt that I was actually being talked to by her and that she finally came to her senses. So if I were to get any revenge on these guys, and I'll probably never see him again in my life, and if I were to see this guy in real life, if he just strolled up to me one day, I know I would unleash on him. But that's beside the point. That's never going to happen. The best revenge is living well. And as far as I could tell from what they sent me, the little GPS thing that was on, they're living in a trailer park. For all I know, she doesn't even have a job. That guy couldn't hold down a job. That's right, that motherfucker worked at a grocery store for like a week and said, "Oh, I can't do this," and quit. He's nothing and he'll never be anything. She's a smart girl. I'm not going to completely piss all over her. She's a very bright individual. And she's strong enough to move on her own, to move on her own, to do something with her life. As far as him, he can rot in a gutter and die for all I care. I know I will be living much more well than either of those two, though. As much as I hate to shit on her. It's not just because they're living in a trailer park. It's because no matter what, even if they did pull the wool over my eyes, I still think I'm the winner here. And if you two lovebirds are watching this, I'll let you think about that. I'll let you decide what I mean by that. I'll never see either of you again in my life. And that's all there is to it. But I do know that I've had plenty of motivation before this to live my life to the fullest extent. Especially considering my current relationship situation, which isn't the best. I've had plenty of motivation to get my shit together and live my life to the fullest extent and be what I've wanted to be for so long. And you two, you've just given me more motivation to be better than you. So if you ever have any egomaniacal thoughts of, I wonder if he's thinking about us right now. Yeah, I probably am. I'm thinking about how you've pushed me even harder to succeed. Thanks.